So, we're on book 2, Murder in a Cup. And where's my piece of paper? Sorry. I spent the whole book so massively pissed off on this guy. And we don't even have alright, maybe we do. We have a small, brief encounter with this gentleman. And other times we just get a glimpse of him in the beginning. Look, I got this hair. But that's it. And you spend the whole book massively pissed off at this guy. Extreme anger at this gentleman. And you're so mad. Hey! Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could hit the thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And the subscribe. There's over 2,000 videos out there. Go watch 1, or 2, or 3, or 4. I highly recommend the If Thens on Friday. If you like this author, you might like that author. And Flashback Mondays. But anyways, Murder in a Cup. Book 2. We read Steeped. We're reading Murder. We're going to fish it off of Spirited, because then we have to wait till next year for the next one. And I spent the entire book so mad at this guy, Peter. So angry. And I guess that's a form of a good book. When you get emotionally invested in a book, then that is a good book, right? So we have Shay, who owns the tea shop. And Jen is her sister who's helping her out. And there's a story that you can find in the book. And then we have Joanne, her sister's friend. We see a little bit of her. And Tassi is Joanne's niece. And Spirit is the dog. Pearl Harmon is the lady who owns the ice cream shop. And Julia is a real estate lady who has some issues. Liam is a former police officer who now owns a pub. Dean is now the new sheriff. And Adam Ward is the coroner. We haven't seen him much in a coroner capacity. He's shown up for split seconds here and there, but we haven't seen much of him. And I'm trying to think of who else, but so they have this tea shop, and these ladies convinced them they want them for Shay to do readings. And she's not the expert her mom was, her biological mother was. Because she didn't grow up with her biological mother. She didn't learn stuff from her she didn't discover that till she was an adult. So that's the story for part 1. Or book 1. And so they conned her into doing these tea leaf readings. And so she has a little tea party, and she does a little tea reading, and one of the customers keels over. Apparently, she was poisoned. And all fingers, point to Shay. But during the tea thing, Tassi made an offhanded comment, and she didn't mean anything by it. But because of her offhanded comment, she was arrested for murder. This little 17-year-old kid was arrested for murder because she made an offhanded comment. And it takes Shay the entire book to have the light bulb moment, but it takes her the entire book. In the meantime, because of this situation, and it's later revealed that Tassi has an inheritance. She doesn't know about it. But apparently her biological father discovered it. And he had decided that he wanted full custody of Tassi. And because of this murder case, he hit restraining orders on everybody. And he filed a grievance against Shay for practicing witchcraft. And all this huge nonsense, because he's a lawyer. And he's a high-powered lawyer. And he's going after all these people for these stupid reasons. And you're so angry at him the whole book because there's really no reason for all his lawsuits. And then later on in the middle, towards the end of the book, it's discovered about the inheritance. And then, so he wants to get possession of Tassie, not to get to know Tassie, not to know Tassie, but he wants her for her inheritance, because when he thinks, he's under the impression, it's wrong, but he's under the impression when she turns 18, she gets some dollars. And then if she does college, she gets some more dollars. And that he would be the executor of the estate, and he would get access to at least the interest, if not the whole kit and caboodle. And so, but that's not known in the beginning, and he's just filing these lawsuits and hitting the restraining orders and slewing out all this stuff, and everybody's in town's getting served with these papers, and you're so angry and you're so mad at this guy. For what? You didn't even come in, and you have no valid reason for doing any of this, but you're doing all this stuff. And you get so angry at this guy. So angry. Why are you doing this stuff? And it turns out the girl that died in the tea party was his fiance, girlfriend type situation. However, the woman only has 3 years worth of history. So before 3 years ago, she did not exist. So what happened 3 years ago? Is she in the witness protection program? Is she on the run? Did she steal somebody's Social Security? What's going on with her? And now that she's deceased, and it takes a while, and they discover some old newspaper clippings. The trail leads them to newspapers, and she asks someone to investigate, and they discover this chick had another name. And she took this family for all of their money. She conned them out of their entire life savings, and then she split. And because Tassie is unable to work due to all these different restraining orders, her sister, says, we've got this lady, Faye, who used to own a restaurant, and she's looking for work in her retirement. She wants to help out in the tea shop. So this lady starts helping out in the tea shop to cover for Tassie being gone. And she wants to work full time and all these days and stuff like that. And her story, because Shay is so involved with Tassie and the restraining orders and Liam and the dog and all this kind of stuff, and they're all giving her this information microscopically slow. Like today, you're gonna learn the letter A. And that's it. You get that itsy bitsy information from Granny. And then the next day you learn B. And that's all. So that's all you've learned is A and B right now. And Granny just doles it out. And then she does these spiritual little talking to herself types things with Bridget, trying to think what Bridget might have done during the situation. And then she has people investigate. She calls people to do this stuff. And she gets this information microscopically slow. And you're fed these little itty-bitty pieces through the whole thing. And you're waiting for the big crescendo of Peter, something happening with Peter. With him and all his lawsuits. And him and all his restraining orders. And him and all this. And it's just, you're getting this stuff thrown at you. And then it's microscopically slow. You're told the A, and then you're told the B, and then you're told the C, and then you're told the D. And she's still trying to feed through all this information to discover who these people are. And once she discovers that Jasmine is not Jasmine, and that she had a history, and they look it up in the newspapers, and they find all clippings of her, and find out who she really was. And when they get her information, it leads them to somebody else. It leads them to somebody else that's currently in their social circle. And that's where the things start to go off. And, I've said this, I can't tell you how many books I've said this in. But if you're the amateur sleuth, don't go and confront the bad guy by yourself. Or at least tell your cop friend, hey, I'm going to talk to this one right now. If you could join me. But no! All these idiots go off by themselves so that they're put in mortal danger and the bad guy's gonna kill them and some mistake happens or somebody happens by accident and barges in and saves the day. You know, Kinsey, if you haven't, go watch my Sue Grafton videos. But if Kinsey had a cell phone, she never would have ended up in any of those situations. Of course, we'll never know because Sue Grafton has passed away. But Shay, she's I don't like her as much as the other chick. The in the book series, the lady that owns the bookstore. Or no, Santa's not. No, that was Vicky Delaney with the novelties. I'm getting my book people confused. But Shay, she's got to get a little bit more on the ball. I think she's got to learn about her environment. And that's another thing. The book takes place 1 year later after the previous book. There's a 1 year gap in time. And so she's gotten really settled in with her little restaurant, and Zoe had moved in with Liam and his grandmother, but Zoe couldn't stand the grandmother, so she moved out. And Zoe was always waiting for Liam to propose, and Liam never proposed because Liam's the type of guy that can't say no, and that's going to get him in a lot of trouble. And Shay is forever waiting for Liam. He comes over, spends time with her, they have dinner together, they do all these things together. And he's always dating somebody else. And that's going to irritate the life of me, that Shay is too chicken to put her foot forward. And she lets other chicks get there first. So I think we're going to go through that for a couple books more. But we'll see what happens with them. So, who poisoned Jasmine? And that's really not her name. You have to read the book to find out what her real name was. And why Peter is so intent on getting his daughter's inheritance. Have to read that book too. And what blinders Jen has on. Jen needs to wake up and smell the coffee. That chick is so blind, it's not funny. She didn't see this coming. And Liam. So we'll see what happens. There's only one murder, and it's just Jasmine. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, especially all the evil stuff that Peter pulls. I was just so pissed at that guy the whole book. So pissed. But to find out what happens with Tassi and all the restraining orders, and with Jasmine's murder, and when Shay wakes up and sees the coffee right in front of her, because this time the murderer is pretty much front and center the whole book. But you don't know it till the end of the book. I've had some books where the murderer's been off. I was expecting it to be Peter, because it was one of those hi and bye situations. He made his appearance in the beginning book. Hi, how are you? Blah blah blah. And left, and then all this restraining orders. So he was talked about the whole book, but the guy was physically not on stage. He was just talked about. Got another restraining order, got this, got another court order, God, he's issued you this, you serve your papers for this. So I was expecting it to be him. It's not. Spoiler. But anyways, please hit the like and subscribe, and, read the book and find out who all these people are, and what happens with Tassi, and, Shay and her trying to prove she's not a witch trial, and her father trying to get all her money, and what's going on right in front of Shay's and Jen's face that they don't see it. Right here. It's right here. If Jen hadn't had her blinders on, some of this stuff might not have happened. So we'll have to see. But you have a good day. Have a good one.